I know we can do this together because I know this. There's nothing beyond our capacity.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is a Wise Ass Wednesday, and we're going to hit that right on the head. There's a lot of great topics today. It has hit the fan. The Muslims are going nuts out there, all these crazy Islamic bastards. The Jews are pissed off about it. The world is kind of pretending like, well, we didn't hear this and we didn't hear that. All kinds of trouble, folks. But I want to start off with this. Wayne Root, who I believe is Jewish, had something to write. And he couldn't just talk about Palestine or the Israelis. He went down the third road, which is to drag the LGBTQ crowd into it. You want to talk about being a wise ass? I want to give Wayne Root full credit. This is his writing. I wish I had the time and the energy, as well as the audience, to reach as many as he did, but I want to share it here especially because it is poignant. And it goes to show you how crazy the fucking liberals are, how ignorant of world reality, and how dangerously close they are to getting themselves exterminated. So Wayne Root writes this article and titles it "The Three Most Ludicrous, Ridiculous, Ignorant, Insane Words in the History of English Language, quote, queers for Palestine." And this fits perfect for this Wise Ass Wednesday. And thank you to Mr. T for the great thumbnail, Wise Ass Wednesday. So what Wayne Root did is he helped put a fine point on the mental retardation and the general mental illness of Democrats with these questions / statements. He says, do gays, and I say, or queers, realize that any Muslim country can murder you for being gay? It's a crime to be gay. And I'm going to put in my own words here too. It's not just a crime to be gay, but the people on the street can enforce the law that they have in these countries. It doesn't take the police and a trial and a jury and a conviction and a sentencing. They'll just fucking stone you to death, right? Or, they'll throw you off of a roof, right? In Muslim countries, it's now been shown and demonstrated, they'll just throw your ass off of the roof. Now, if you're a lesbian or a tranny, you're not in any better shape. Do gays realize, asks Wayne Root, that Hamas or Hezbollah or the Taliban or ISIS, do they realize what would happen to them if they were exposed as queers to them? Yeah. Now, this is all Wayne Root here. No, it isn't. This is John. And I wrote, just for fun, here are some more groups that actually would make more sense and be less suicidal than Queers for Palestine. And these names were created by Wayne Root. Jews for Hamas, the NAACP for the KKK, Ukrainians for Russia, illegals for ICE, mobsters for the FBI, feminists for Ike Turner, Bobby Kennedy Jr. for vaccines, evangelical pastors for porn, cops for murderers, doctors for cancer, American Indians for cowboys. Ooh, that's a little divisive. Mothers for drunk drivers, anorexics for fatty foods, atheists for God, NASCAR drivers for crashes, Catholics for kosher food, Chris Christie for salads, and anyone with a brain for Joe Biden. I thought those were all much, very, very smartastic names for a group that would make more sense than Queers for Palestine. Now, like all the other terrorists, the queers that support terrorism are demonstrating their militant, murderous tendencies, and they need to be punished for it. They need to be arrested and tried for sedition, conspiracy, supporting terrorism, all of which are crimes. Supporting terrorism, that's a crime in my book. Wow. And these people, folks, it's not going to get any better. Get your comments down below for the Q&A. Today is Wednesday. It is a wise-ass Wednesday at that. It's a wise-ass Wednesday. What is wrong with these people is what I want to know. Well, just asking the question isn't going to get us anywhere. We know they're crazy. They have left common sense behind. There is no critical thinking. Rational, logical, out the door with every Democrat, every socialist, every fascist, every communist. They're toast. Get this, folks. This person is a clinical social worker in the United States of America. A clinical social worker. Don't you think that they would have an understanding of multiple social groups, that they would have an understanding and care for people of all genders and sexual orientation and races and religions, right? Because they're a clinical social worker. Now, how do you become a clinical social worker? Well, you attend college, you get a degree in some kind of social science, and then you pass a test, I'm sure, to certify you to be a clinical social worker. In other words, you're supposed to be educated and intelligent. What do colleges excrement today? What do they excrete? Do they excrete intelligent people, or do they excrete waste, excrement? I'll tell you which one I think it is. It's the excrement. It's shit, right? You get indoctrinated, not educated. So the person, right, I'm describing, this clinical social worker, is a vile, scummy, filthy Democrat who called Jews dogs and tore down posters of Jewish hostages. That's who's out there, folks. That is the political leftists who call themselves progressives and liberals. They call themselves Democrats or socialists. They're full of hate and ignorance, a very deadly combination. There it is. Now here's another one. This one came up, and this may make a lot of people unhappy. I know Muslims, folks. In fact, I went and saw my guy at the 7-Eleven today, got myself a nice cup of coffee, had a few words with him. Nice fella. But I have to ask this question that came up. Is Islam compatible with U.S. military service? I think it's a fine question to ask. It's okay to ask such questions. Truly, honestly, it is. Now, it appears, though, that Islamic groups are now operating from within the United States defense establishment. That includes the Pentagon, the State Department, the U.S. Embassy system, period. Now, is Islam compatible with U.S. service? Can you do both? And I have to ask this question, how can it be? Right? Now, both services are extreme, and I have to grant that. Both require the ability, when commanded, that the person being given the order goes and kills. Right? That's what the service says. There's the enemy. In the name of your country, go kill. And in Islam, they say, in the name of our religion, in the name of Allah and Muhammad and whatever else, Aloha snack bar, go kill that person or group over there. Both are extreme, granted. Both require the ability to kill on command. Both suspend a basic moral function, and it substitutes a superior set of morals and orders. And that is, then when commanded, you will go kill someone else. Now, are they compatible? Can the two go together? Can you be loyal to Islam and loyal to the United States of America? Can you serve both masters? Well, my answer to the question is this. It was a United States major, an officer, who committed mass murder at Fort Hood, Texas. He was a major, not just some crazy wacko, imbecile enlisted man. This was an officer. At the very least, had a 4-year degree. And he was Muslim. And he chose his Islamic service over national service. This was done not yesterday or today or even last week or last month. Had nothing to do with Palestine. Just one day he decided all of a sudden, all by himself, that he was going to start taking some verses out of the Holy Quran and applying them to human beings in his general proximity. There's your answer. There's your answer, folks. Was he just crazy or what? Right? How do you just go crazy and start killing people? Unless you're already a couple of cans short of a 6-pack, or you're indoctrinated with a system of thinking that requires you to act without thinking. Now, you could give the order to me, go kill those people over there. And I wouldn't do it unless I felt like I understood and I agreed with what was being asked of me. Is the people I'm facing off against and having to shoot and take away their lives, are they an enemy of humanity? Are they an enemy of my country? Are they a threat to me? Are they a threat to my family? Are they a threat to my country? And are they, as an enemy, a stated enemy, in a position to cause harm to me, my family, or my countrymen? You see, there's just a lot of questions asked to make it a lawful order. A lawful order. Now, there's religious things in the Holy Bible, right? And then also the New Testament, right? That homosexuality is not allowed. Sorry. Right? Witchcraft, not allowed. Sorry. Service to Satan or the adversary of all that is good and decent, moral, and holy, that is to not be allowed to exist. We're given countless examples of these people, homosexuals and idolaters, people who worship false gods, being killed by, the warriors of the Bible, God's warriors, Christian soldiers, what have you. And there's lots of examples of that in history. But that doesn't mean that just because someone else is killing people, that I need to go out and do it also. But just a couple of weeks ago, we had the radical tenets of Islam be exposed yet again in the attacks on Israel. And then they called for an entire worldwide attack. That everyone in Islam be willing to shed blood to support their holy war. I'm going to ask you again, is Islam compatible with service? Now we'll go this way as well. I'm sure there are Muslims out there who don't have a prayer rug that they roll up and stick in their lunchbox or their briefcase, or if in the service that they have at their desk or whatever, that they're just basically like most Christians. They're like, I'm a Christian, that's it. I'm a Catholic, or I'm a Jew, or I'm a Muslim, and I don't carry around a prayer rug and fall on my face 12 times a day and start mumbling incoherently. I'm sure there's just normal people out there. They're like, well, that's my family's faith, and that's where I'm at. and I'll follow the moral guidelines. That's one thing. But people in the service, how can you serve something as radical as Islam when Islam has demonstrated that that's how radical it is? My answer is they're not compatible. They are not. They are not. And as we get into a more and more contentious, moral, and dare I say religious battle, and my battle with religion is not against Islam. My battle with Islam has to do with freedom and liberty. That I, as a human being, have a right to choose to worship or not. And if I want to worship, I can choose which religion I think makes the most sense, is the most logical, that God speaks to me, that I don't need someone who lived centuries ago to tell me how to worship. And I certainly don't need someone who's living today to show me, right, that my way of life is so wrong that I need to die for not obeying them. Unless that person walks across water, floats on air, right, turns lead into gold, and I don't know, what else whatever miraculous acts do I need them to commit? How about this? Clone Farrah Fawcett 72 times and have them seated around him while dressed like I Dream of Jeannie. That would convince me that that person probably has some pretty good magic going on their side. Yeah, it is Wise Ass Wednesday, and here I am. Now, I got a joke for you. Here's a joke for you. Are you ready? The official beer of the Ultimate Fighter Challenge is Bud Light. Wait a minute. No, that's not a joke. Bud Light is now the official beer of the Ultimate Fighter Challenge, the UFC. They have signed, apparently, a mega sponsorship deal. And my comment to that is fuck the UFC. The money or your morals? Which is it? What are you going to do? You're going to have a moral foundation, or are you going to take the money? Hey, the UFC chose money. So fuck the UFC now. I don't care. I do not care. If Bud Light came to me and said, John, we want to sponsor your show forever. Or John, we want to sponsor your show for one time for $1 million. You know what? Fuck them. I'd take the $1 million and sponsor the show and then come back the next day and put them down. Oh, no. See, they wouldn't sign that. They'd say you can never, ever, ever, ever say another bad word about rainbows or fruitcakes or fruit salads or Bud Light or Dylan Mulvaney or trannies or LGBT. You can't say anything ever again. In fact, you have to take back everything bad you've ever said and apologize and write a letter for $1 million. I don't think so. No, fuck you. Fuck you, Bud Light. That is the correct answer. Well, I don't know how many millions of dollars it is. But that's some crazy shit. Because Dana White, owner of the UFC, is supposed to be a very conservative person. But they're taking the money. They're taking the money, which makes it just begs the question. What about the UFC fighter that said he prays for someone to give him a rifle and send him to Palestine so he can, fight the Jews and kill the Jews, destroy the Jews? It's just, we're in that world now. We're in that world where you can sell out just like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What would you do? I mean, seriously. I mean, if Bud Light came here and said, John, we're going to give you $1 million, you have to shut down the Prepared Mind channel forever. What if I just disappear? Will people think that's what happened? Is Bud Light paid me off? I just, it's like, how do people live with themselves? No, let's just switch. Let's just take this Bud Light thing and go right to the Speaker of the House. Let's do it. Let's do it. I got 10 minutes left before it's your turn, so get your questions down below, right? The new Speaker of the House. There's a new Speaker of the House. I was mistaken when I thought it was the other guy. Apparently they shit on him. But they did vote today for a speaker. His name is Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson out of Louisiana. And he is victorious, going to be seated as the Speaker of the House. There is supposedly a commitment to conservative policy. What is that conservative policy, please? Where's the platform? Where is the Conservative Party? I thought he was a Republican. And he's also committed to a restoration of trust. He says, here's his quote. As Speaker, I will ensure the House delivers results and inspires change for the American people. That sounds like fucking Obama. They're going to deliver results. What results? Conservative results? Liberal results? LGBT results? Muslim results? What kind of results? And they're going to inspire change? Hope and change. That was Obama. So now he's going to inspire change? Now he goes on. His next is, we will restore trust in this body. Trust by whom? Now, apparently, he exposed or expressed his opposition to the Biden administration and says he's going to, quote, combat the harmful policies of the Biden administration. Well, how is he going to restore trust? You have to earn trust. You have to show us by leading this so-called United Republican Party. He's going to restore trust. How? I'll tell you how he could do it. By impeaching Biden immediately. Not just, as he says, we're going to combat the harmful policies of the Biden. I don't want you to combat shit. I want you to eliminate the Biden policies, reverse the Biden policies. Biden is a traitor. Now, there's some good things about this guy, and I don't want to just shit all over him, okay? That's not what this is about. New Speaker of the House, Representative Mike Johnson. He was voted in with 220 votes. He did not lose a single Republican vote from any of the rhinos. So the rhinos were beaten back? Good. Fuck them, I say. Apparently, Speaker Mike Johnson has voted Make America Great Again, Patriot, 92% of the time. That's a pretty good track record, right? Batting 920. No one's ever batted 920, not even the great Ted Williams. So he's done pretty good with his voting record 92% of the time. Well, you're Speaker of the House. If you're going to represent us conservatives, America, the Constitution, you have to be right 100% of the time. We don't have room for a fuck up 10% of the time. I don't want to hear that you did 9 things great and then voted for Obamacare. Right? You have to get it right every single time. There's a litmus test. Is it about freedom? Is it about the Constitution? And is it moral and decent? If you're hitting all those 3 things, you should have no problem voting correctly 100% of the time, not just 92. And that's where the trouble is, folks. That's where I say we have trouble. How can this guy who's only been in Congress 6 years has voted for Trump-style legislation 92% of the time and been elected as Speaker by all of the rhinos? Has he done something very bad that the rhinos know about and they have a control file on him and they can just pull his chain and go, hey, Mike Johnson, we got you, pal. We got you. You know, what he needs to do is, impeach Biden now. Release all the video from January 6th. Release all of the emails. Put the facts out there about the January 6th Congressional Committee. Right out the gate. Day one, starting tomorrow. He needs to do these things. You want to restore trust in the Republicans in Congress? You want to restore trust in the House? You want to restore trust in the government? Do those things immediately. Don't put it up for a vote as leader. Start doing them immediately. A leader doesn't wait for a bunch of traitor rhinos. A leader destroys immorality. They do. They do. I'm going to give you an example of it right here. Oh, no, you don't, computer. Get that back here. There we go. At George Washington University, they had a little bit of problem, folks. They had a bunch of psychotic, genocidal, anti-Israel, Jew-hating scumbag students that were projecting pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist, pro-murder messages onto a campus building using a projector. George Washington was a leader. George Washington fought for freedom. George Washington stood firm in his moral foundations to continue to fight and stand up to and oppose and object to the British in the face of death, in the face of certain doom, of every threat known to man that could be exerted, of all the pressure placed upon him. George Washington never failed America. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he never failed America. And we got the United States of America. We got the Constitution. We got the English to be defeated. We got freedom of press, freedom of religion, the right to keep and bear arms. All of these things became enshrined in Congress. Not in Congress, in the Constitution, which the Congress and everyone else in government, including judges, have sworn to uphold. That, my friends, is leadership. At a time when the colonial armies, the resistance, were just beaten down, George Washington did not bend or cower or give in or become a traitor. Will Congressman Johnson, I'll call him Big Mike Johnson, if he does what he has to do to restore everything. Otherwise, he's just another hat. He's just another empty suit selling us off. Now, back to George Washington University, by the way. The university itself has released a statement on these genocidal anti-Israel messages. They've issued a statement. Really? Not good enough. I don't want a fucking statement. I want these students expelled. They didn't just violate the rule of projecting political messages onto a school building without permission or permit, right? They insulted, right, other human beings, offended them with murderous statements. I couldn't care less if they made a joke or upset someone a little bit, but this is extremely offensive, and supporting terrorism is a crime. The students should be expelled. I say refund their tuition. Show them that you don't need their money. You don't need them. They should be forced to get the fuck out of that college, especially George Washington University, folks. George Washington University has terrorist bitches and punks on its campus. Do they know who George Washington was? Do you think they really care? These radical Muslim supporting, probably fruit salads, take a piece of paper from George Washington University and go to a corporation and ask for a job. You want to talk about a comical question to ask? I mean, if I got someone, I'd be the wise ass boss. I go, hey, I see your resume here. Says that you are inclusive and you believe in diversity and equity. Yet you attended George Washington University, a slave owner, George Washington. Oh my goodness, George Washington wanted freedom. Didn't that make him a fascist according to people like you? You just have so much fun with these people and just make them start crying big, giant, salty tears. And speaking of that, get this. The judge out there who is smiling and playing games with the camera, the judge who told Trump, you're not allowed to speak. You have to become silent. You're gagged. Well, apparently he called Trump to the witness stand, fined him $10,000 for supposedly violating the judge's gag order. And then he issued a warning to the President of the United States. He says, don't do it again or it'll be worse. Judicial abuse, do you think? Out of control. Trump was the fucking President of the United States of America. Who does this little pipsqueak of a judge think he is? This little schmarmy, schmalzy, wimpy little bastard. He is a chicken shit turd of a judge, folks. He's nobody. He's less than diaper juice squeezed at a hospital nursery. Let me repeat that. He's less than diaper juice squeezed at a hospital nursery. That's who this judge is. Who told him he can attack a president of the United States of America? Who told him he can threaten a president like this? What makes him think it's okay? He's sitting on high above President Trump, who is a president of the United States, who is an American, who is free, and who is a fucking billionaire. And he's going to talk down to him while he wears his black dress. He's probably naked underneath, pounding his little pud in excitement at the thought of trying to chastise President Trump. That's who this guy is. Who is backing this chicken shit sack of crap? Who's backing his attack on Trump? Soros? Well, Soros was backing the fat-assed Fannie in Georgia, who has also gone after Trump. Folks, it is on. It's go time. It's a wise-ass world, and it's on, motherfuckers, on the left. It's on. We're on to you. We are prepared. We're watching you. We are ready. Yes, these radical leftists, they can organize themselves with apps. They can have drones in the sky trying to identify people. They can come after us, and Uman knows what I'm talking about. They can organize themselves really well. They can arm themselves even. They won't last. They won't last. Not in a real conflict. They won't last. You show me a Marine out there, and I'll show you someone who will take out more than their fair share of these people. You show me a real Army veteran, I'll show you someone who can take out more than his fair share of these fruitcakes. They want a war with the free world. That's what they're threatening, folks. If you think they're done when they're done destroying Israel and killing every Jew, they will come after the queers for Palestine. They'll come after every queer out there. They'll come after every American. They'll come after every Christian. They'll come after everyone who refuses to submit to Islam. They'll go after every politician in the United States of America. There's no safe place to hide from people that are this crazy, folks. You would have to be a retard, right? You would have to be very retarded to believe any of that. We're in big, big trouble. I really hope you've enjoyed this, because now, guess what? Now it is your turn to ask some questions. You're the inner circle on this Wise Ass Wednesday. What do you want to talk about? No help is not coming. It is not. It is not forthcoming. Everyone, we're going to have to be responsible for ourselves. Now, let's do this. What do you guys want to talk about? Oh, man, I know we've got some questions out there. There's a lot going on. Charles Gentry has this to say. He says, hey, Washington is full of treasures. You know what we do with treasures, don't you? We bury them so someone else can come along and dig them up at a later date. Well, I'll tell you that. When you have stolen a treasure, when your treasure is ill-begotten, you bury it and hide it in an effort to run and then come back and get it at another time. Another time you bury your treasure is when you know you are in a state of war and you don't have time to both defend it and yourself. Otherwise, treasures are put on display. Treasures are put on display, like at the Tower of London in England, in Le Louvre in France. Museums around the world, treasures are put on display, whether they are gems or art or historical artifacts. Treasures are on display, are they not? Who do we have to hide treasures from? Well, thieves and murderers. People who would take a treasure, like something that's an art, statue, a painting, and they would destroy it because of their belief system. The crazy, radical, wacky Islamic nutcases have destroyed numerous religious artifacts around the world. Gigantic statues carved out of living stone, carved in the sides of mountains. They've destroyed them, blown them up with explosives, shot at them with guns until they're so defaced they can't be recognized because of their radical religious thoughts. They've done it to Buddhist stuff, folks, not statues of Jesus, but hey, crazy radicals out there. They'll also like environmentalists. They'll attack paintings at museums in Germany, even at Le Louvre in New York City, around the world, because what they have to say or think is beautiful. So yeah, there's going to come a point here where treasures need to be hidden again, because we won't have time to protect both them and ourselves. That was done also during World War II, folks. Knowing the Nazis were coming to Germany, the French people hid most of what is today in Le Louvre, the museum. They hid them all, trying to keep them from falling into the hands of Hitler, who undoubtedly wouldn't have destroyed them, but rather kept them as treasures for themselves, as plunder, as booty, if you will. You bet. The spoils of war. Thank you, Charles, very much. Very interesting topic indeed. Certainly SHTF worthy. Now, again, get your questions, thoughts, predictions, concerns, fears. Put them right here. If you've got a fear, it's okay to have that fear. I have many fears. Let me share you with one. I'll share one with you. Today, P in New Mexico sent me a message and an article for a news story. He said, look, there's all kinds of disease showing up in hospitals now. And it's crabs. And that's an acronym for a disease, or rather an antibiotic resistant disease that is being brought to the north by these sick, when I say sick, I mean diseased human beings pouring across the border. They are filling the hospitals, the waiting rooms, and even the hallways. And they're bringing their germs into the hospitals. And they're infecting American patients with an antibiotic treatment-resistant disease that can incubate over the course of weeks and weeks and weeks. And it destroys the immune system of people. I am fearful of that. I don't like that. It's okay to be afraid, folks. And it's also okay to take prophylactic measures like avoiding these freaks, these weirdos, the monkeypox crowd, and avoiding the illegals out there to the extent possible. We're in a weird place. And people go, what's a little harm with having some of these illegals coming? Take a look. I'll show you. We can afford it. Oh, really? No, we can't. This country is over 30 trillion in debt, plus well over $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Well, like, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. But there's not a big giant pile of gold somewhere that the government is spending to take care of its obligations. It takes your money that it says is for you and spends it on something else and says, we'll figure out how to pay them later. Having, at 53 years old, spent a lifetime of working and paying into Social Security and other entitlement systems against my will, whether I like it or not, the odds of me getting anything out of it are slim to none. That's just another tax anyways. It's all a tax. All right. Yeah. Here we are. Mr. Uman, what do we want to discuss next? And I know you've got something to say. But first, Chin Music says, John, I'm curious how you at 6'8", 275 pounds of pure Vikingness goes Greyman. Well, I'm only 6'6" currently. And I was 6'7" at my height. But you lift a few Atlas stones for a few too many months and you shrink. Anyways, I'm now topped 280, putting on a little bit of extra stuff, if you know what I'm saying to you. Anyways, how does someone like me go Greyman? Well, I'll tell you what. It's not as easy as you would think. I don't know if I can go completely gray, meaning can I blend in? Can I disappear? Can I hide? It takes, in my case, a bit of costuming. I was talking with a friend yesterday, a couple of them. They're both 6'4", and they're fairly well-built guys. They've got broad shoulders, narrow waists, right? They're in good physical condition in their late 30s. And I looked at them. I said, how much do you guys weigh? I'm guessing 240-ish. They go, 210. It's 210 at 6'4". They didn't look like 210. I said, do I look fat to you guys? Because I weigh 280. I'm only this much taller than you guys, 2 inches. They're like, no, you don't look fat, but there's just a difference. So why is it that they can weigh 70 pounds less than me and really not look much different in a lot of ways? And then I examined some videos of some strongmen standing next to your average bodybuilder, an average person in good size, good shape. And I realized, holy shit, there's a huge difference. So your question, Chin Music, really does fit in with the issues I've been having Monday, Tuesday, and now today, Wednesday, which is I was like, I even asked a coworker, I'm like, you ever feel just like you're too big? Like everyone's stepping around you and you're always in the way? I said, I feel fat. So Greyman, again, your question. Number one, how do I go gray? I wear loose, baggy clothes. No one knows how big my legs are. No one knows how big my chest and back is. No one gets to see how big my arms are. In fact, I tried buying a couple of shirts this weekend, and I couldn't get my arms in the sleeves. Right, and then of course the sleeves, they're too short because it all gets gathered up here trying to stuff my arm in the sleeve. But so you wear exceedingly loose and baggy clothes. How do you go gray when you're very big? You hunch over, right? You make yourself inches and inches shorter. And by doing so, you also must be sick, right? So you have a limp. It doesn't have to be an exaggerated or grossly exaggerated limp or appearance of illness. It just needs to be enough that you are unattractive. Nobody wants to get near somebody who just looks a little bit extra filthy and dirty. Right? You don't have to be filthy. You don't have to really be dirty. You just have to look like it. You just have to look like shit. Your clothing can be tattered, and it makes you look unsavory. Who wants to, roll or mug or harass somebody who's wearing ratty, shitty clothes? So if I was to go gray, those are the things I would do. I would put, coal, carbon under my eyes and kind of on my face. I wouldn't waste a lot of time with makeup, but try and make yourself look like shit. Right? I can't just blend in and look like everyone else. So I've got to go through some other measures. But I think we all need to think about that, right? This right here, all of this blonde hair, it's kind of actually rare. The more I look around, there aren't many people who are still towheads in their fucking 50s. Right? This is not white. This is blonde. This is white right here, but I keep it so short you can't tell. Apparently, it's pretty fucking rare to be a natural fucking blonde. So how do I deal with that? Wear a hat, right? If I don't want to be identified, if I don't want to stick out. And that's another thing is sticking out. If I was trying to go gray, I wouldn't want to be looking so bad that I attract attention either. Right? The idea of gray is blending in. So if everyone else is just scared, then I just need to act scared. Carry myself, and understanding and observing body language is another one. What is the body language of this crowd? Now, I've been told on numerous occasions that when I walk into a room of, say, an event or a lodge or a dinner or a charity meeting or anything, that I tend to attract a lot of attention because I have, I guess, dignity or something. So you have to learn how to just, I guess, not have dignity, to look like everyone else. But it is tricky. It really is, chin music, being as tall as I am and as big as I am. I had no idea how I look next to other people. I have a Brazilian subcontractor today. I was like, hey, you remind me of my old friend Nico from Brazil that I knew years ago in California. I said, he's about the same size as you. It's like 5'6". I was like, holy shit, you're tiny, man, tiny. Anyways, the Greyman principle. I think that everyone needs to look into that. Now, in all truth, I understand the purpose of Greyman, and I do recommend everyone look up Greyman on YouTube and watch videos so you understand the principle, the whys, the hows, etc. And then I also recommend that you look up being a porcupine, someone nobody wants to mess with because you just might be fucking crazy or something else. It's something, right? And then another one is insane man. And this guy is really not talked about a whole lot. And I think it's a dangerous role to play, is you want to be so crazy, so outrageous that nobody wants to fuck with you. Now you can see this just about anywhere in a very poor environment. And I don't want anyone to think this is insensitive, as if the world doesn't have enough fucking sensitivity. When you see people start to get in a fight, right? There's two personalities clashing. You'll see oftentimes one guy just go outrageously nuts and start screaming and yelling and acting like a total insane person. It intimidates other people to an extreme. Now, in an SHTF scenario, appearing to be insane could end up getting you tackled, arrested, detained, or maybe even shot, just because people are so worried about you and they've already been terrorized enough by everyone else. They don't need a terrorist amongst them. So there's a lot of psychology behind this. There's a lot of understanding the perception of where you're at. Like in a place where there's nothing going wrong, there's no need to go gray. There's no need to blend in. You can just be yourself. But if you've got some Mad Max shit going on, you better figure out what type of person you need to become to get by. Now, again, here's another one: food shortages. What if there's food shortage? Do you want the world to know that you've got 3 months, 6 months, 9 months worth of food stacked in your basement, in your attic, in your closets? If other people are having a hard time getting food and they're kind of panicked, they're kind of scared, you need to blend in. If everybody is getting less calories per day and you can start to tell people are slow and weak, they might be losing weight after a couple of weeks of uncertainty and fear, it would behoove you to eat a lot less calories so that you can blend in. Blending in, one way or another. If people are out there acting fucking crazy, screaming and yelling and acting stupid, you better do the same thing. If you're calm, collected, reserved, you know what the fuck's going on, right? You got an eye on everyone out there. People are going to notice you being different, right? Blending in, acting like others in every form and fashion possible. Blending in. Chin music, great, great, great topic, especially as these wacko leftists, whether it's, well, Palestinians for Palestine or queers for Palestine, we need to be very aware of what's going on. And once again, from this morning's discussion, Zero Dark 30, in Florida, Governor DeSantis has decided if you're a pro-Palestinian college group that is participating in Hamas activities, you've committed a crime. You better start arresting people. These governors need to start arresting people, in my opinion. They're supporting terror. That's a fucking crime. All right, let's move on if we shall. Lou, man, I know we're running out of time. Name Redacted says, hey, John, do blondes have more fun? The answer is yes, we do. Undeniably so. Not, redheads and brunettes, a lot of times they identify as blonde, so they have fun as well. All right, let's move on. We've got the Charles Gentry. He says, someone may make war on me over their religion. I will make war for my life and my freedom. My God does not require me to kill in its name. That's my judgment call. And that is your spiritual perspective from which you address the world, Charles, right? A free man is allowed to make judgments for himself and determine what his actions are. That's truly, what a way to experience life. Not having someone lord over you everything, not having someone tell you what you must and must not do, but to choose for yourself a path. And so you can see how scary that would be for someone like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or the Ayatollah Khomeini or Kim Jong-un. They are terrified by the concept of people judging for themselves what is best in life, what is best for them, and letting people be free. This idea, this concept of freedom is not universal and timeless, folks. It has always been the goal and dream of people to possess this freedom that we have. And we have taken it for granted as a people and as a nation, as a civilization. And it is quickly disappearing as extremism consumes the planet through its various religions, like environmentalism, like religion, Muslim, Catholic, Christian, and other religions which allow no freedom of thought or choice. I'm not just going to pick on the Muslims in that way. Not going to do it. And then there's political systems which completely eliminate freedom. Socialism, whether fascism or communism, are both socialism. Globalism, technocracy, all of these systems of control are just that. It's not controlling a government for the people's freedom. It's controlling people for the government. Whether it's a theocratic system or some form of democracy. Democracy is scary, folks. Democracy is 4 wolves voting together with 3 sheep to determine what's for dinner. Guess what? The sheep are going to lose that vote every single time it's had. All right. Thank you, Charles. Great topic. In fact, you guys have been absolutely fucking fantastic today and for the past few weeks. Go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause. You deserve it. You've earned it. You truly have. Now, we've got this coming out from Chin Music. He says, Chin Music says, to all the communists pushing depopulation, you first. We're all behind you. I love it. Yeah. Isn't that funny how these hypocrites like Bill Gates, George Soros, Hillary Clinton, the European Union, the United Nations, they all want population control. They want certain people to die. But they don't ever want it to be them. Kind of like the assholes in government who want to go to war, like Light in the Loafers, Lindsey Graham. They're all for war. The best money ever spent was money used in an attempt to kill Russians. If it's that good, if it's that wholesome, if it feels that good, Lindsey, then why the fuck aren't you in Ukraine fighting the Russians? If it's that patriotic, that desirable, Lindsey, why aren't you over there doing it? Doing your part, going above and beyond in service to the Senate and the Congress and the government of the United States, of District of Columbia. Why don't you go over there and serve your master? Well, because they're fucking hypocrites, that's why. All right. Mr. Uman, I see all kinds of numbers on my little phone. What does that mean? He says the Senate passes an amendment to ban federal mask mandates on commercial flights and public transit today. This is an amendment. What have they amended? The Constitution? This is a constitutional amendment, or is this just a new law? Or have they amended some sort of what do you call it? An emergency proclamation. Remember that? Oh, the government, the president has an emergency proclamation. We're in a state of emergency, and here's the rules. Have they just amended those rules while we're still under a state of emergency? Here's what I have. I mean, I love this stuff, man. It's great. Why would the Senate do this? To try and make themselves look smart and sound like they're pro-America. They could just as easily and quickly amend it to require federal masks mandates on flights and public transit and in schools and at the supermarket, and while you drive around in a car and while you're having sex with your spouse, you have to wear a mask. They could do that. I hate these fucking people. Not true hatred, humorous hatred, satirical hatred, wise ass hatred. Because they're just jackasses, folks. All they can do is pass a rule or a statute or an amendment to another law. But the real law, the law of the land, is the U.S. Constitution. The law of the land is the Declaration of Independence. And the law of the land is, folks, common sense and common law that makes sense to everyone without having to go to Harvard to get a fucking degree to understand what it is they're even talking about. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi means always faithful. God bless America. land of the free, home of the brave. And for those folks who live in the land of the free, you're going to have to make it free. And the home of the brave, well, the brave are going to have to step up and face those who want to take our freedoms. We're all going to get our chance. Indeed, we're all going to have our chance. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. I'll talk to you soon. Godspeed.